It's the Awake Space Astrology Podcast. I'm Laurie Rivers, your host, here to help you with some inspiration to get those aspirations out into the world. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Laurie, things are really screwy in this world. It looks like we're going to World War III. Just like I said it would. It looks like, we're trying to defeat fascism and there's a guy who wants to be a king and there's these people who are extremists politically. And well, how the hell am I supposed to have a good day with that, Laurie? How am I going to be inspired, Laurie? Because you can be. And we're going to talk about that today. I want you to get your tea, get your coffee, get your matcha, get your beverage of choice. And certainly we want to hydrate right now, because whether we're going to work together, whether we're folding laundry, going to the park, going to feed some ducks or geese, please don't give them bread. There's better things to give them. Okay, you can give them veggies. Okay, but bread isn't good for them. We can color together. We could go walking. We could lay in the kiddie pool if we don't have another pool to swim in. We could cuddle up with the AC, or we could be putting our Uggs on and our hoodies if we're down under. I hear how cold it is down there with you guys, especially in the area where Matilda's at, outside of Melbourne. So whatever we're doing, we're going to do it together. And yes, you can be inspired. And yes, you can have a good day. And yes, things look scary right now. And yet you get to be the helper if you're grown. Okay. And for all the kids listening, I'll do my best not to have a potty mouth. All right, let's get going. In the next segment, I'm going to tell you why I'm thinking about Flash Gordon. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Flash Gordon. Queen did the soundtrack. I was a kid when it came out, I might have been a tweener. I was at least an early teenager when I saw it on cable as a kid. Flash Gordon was this comic book hero. He was kind of a goofy character, but it's a very, very outrageous energy. And that's what I'm thinking about when we look at today, Monday the 16th, which, by the way, it's my son's birthday. My baby. He's 6'3". Anyway, I know he's probably not listening because, listening to your mom is kind of cringe. But if you are listening, sweetie, I love you very much. So, how to embarrass your youngest in 2 easy seconds. Today's going to be an interesting day, and we're going to get into some Flash Gordon-like energy. And what do I mean by that? Well, Flash Gordon was a superhero, a lot like many superheroes. He was saving the universe. He was saving the world. And we're all looking for a hero like that. We want somebody to come save the day. And I think the No Kings protest really embodied that Aquarian energy of, no, you're not going to do it yourself. You got to bring people together. I've talked a lot about Gandalf in recent times, especially with patrons. And I was like, hey, we got to do what Gandalf did. He didn't defeat Sauron one-on-one in a wizard duel. That's not what he did. He brought people together collectively. Some people who didn't even like each other, whether it was the Ents or the dwarves or the elves, etc. The hobbits don't even like to adventure, okay? But he got them all together, right? And not everybody participated in that, right? It was the people who were going to come into that coalition. That's the energy we've got right now. Flash Gordon comes to mind because I think between Monday and Tuesday, there's going to be some weird sci-fi-like thing happen. We could see new weapons or somebody show up to be almost like a superhero, and it could even be like Elon Musk trying to look cool. I don't know. It's goofy. If you've seen the movie, and if you haven't, go look it up on YouTube. It was a strange film. It wasn't as strange as Barbarella, but close. But anyway, it's got that campy 70s, early sci-fi vibe to it. Almost funny, even though it's very serious. But it's so over the top. And I think when we look at where we're at, it does feel a lot like being in Running Man or Blade Runner or any of those dystopian novels. that those of us who are Gen Xers kind of grew up on. And maybe if you're younger, you read them too or watched the movies. It's bizarre where we're at. And we're going to have this sense of surrealness to what's going on. Like, did I just see that? Did I just watch that? Did that just happen? So here's how you get inspired in the midst of all of this, okay? This is how you get inspired with it. One, if it's that outrageous and it's that weird, why can't you do what you want to do? Like, I've said it for years, instead of complaining about MTG and Bobart and all these other noodle brains and the Mike Johnsons of the world, et cetera, instead of complaining about them, notice the bar is low. Why can't you do that thing you want to do? Why are you holding yourself to arbitrarily high standards? Monday and Tuesday are great days to have a breakthrough energy. Like, break through the block. Break through the block. Just do it. Do it. Okay? There's no reason to stay static right now. We are in a very dynamic, changing environment. Now, things are going to get a little interesting because this week we have Mars moving into Virgo. And you'll think, oh, that won't be as dramatic as Mars in Leo. No, but it's going to be precise. It's like a scalpel. It's like a brain surgeon. It is precise and detailed. And we're all going to be seeing some very surgical movement happening in the outer world. It's kind of nice that it's not super messy, but it is petty because it'll bring up that little thing, that little detail that you're most insecure about. And it's unconscious even. It's just natural. They'll be like, yeah, well, you've got a wrinkle right under your left eye. Okay, that little one. No, not the one you were thinking of. That one, you're like, I have a new one. Now, I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about the generalized transit. When I'm talking about you, it's different. Okay. Everybody takes everything personally. We need to stop that. Just step back from it. And if you're clutching your pearls, let go. Just stop it. I'm not very good at doing hair flips. Oh, I was so good at it when I was right. Maybe I need to do it from this side. Let's try again. Okay. If you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, okay. Nope. Still bad at it. I think once you're not a teenager anymore, unless you're flirting, because that's different. I can do that. All right. I know I'm being a goofball. I tend to get silly when things are serious, so hold on to your cats, kids. But amongst all this change energy, and we are in massive systemic change, we are able to rise above it. You're not different than your great-grandparents or your great-great-grandparents or your grandparents, whoever was dealing with things during Vietnam or World War II or World War I or the Spanish-American War or the Civil War or the War of 1812. We've been in a lot of wars, okay? Are we in World War III? We kind of have been for quite a long time. I know by what most people think of as World War III, you're thinking, global thermal nuclear war. I don't see it going there. And if you're a patron, remember, you get the 2025 year ahead and you get to watch that. That's part of your perks. So go find it in your Patreon goodies. That's in the collection. I've decided in the patron only podcast, I'll do video walkthroughs just every week, just to remind you, because I keep putting the information out and then I look on exit interviews. In the 2025 year ahead, I talked about how we would look like we were heading into World War III. The idea that, oh my God, we're heading towards nuclear holocaust. And it may look like that as we go through this month. Israel having preemptively struck Iran, which is unleashing things in the whole of the Gulf. And I'm sure there's a lot of shuttle diplomacy happening right now. As the rest of the region is like, holy shit, why are you guys doing this? We were trying to prevent it. Because nobody wants to get bombed. To my listeners in the Gulf Cooperation Council states, in the GCC, you need to be very, very careful this week. Stay apprised. I don't know how much information you guys are getting about what's going on from your local news sources, but I will say be very alert this week. I have a lot of family and loved ones in the Persian Gulf area in the GCC countries. And so please stay safe. And for those of you who know my daughter, she's not there. So she's so far out of harm's way. We'll see how the rest of the world goes this week. But for now, she's in a safe spot. So that's good. This is the longest we've ever spent apart as mother and daughter in her whole life. And it feels really weird while the world is falling apart, I can tell you. Usually I'm at least within a drive of being able to reassure her. So it's crazy, I tell you. So it's going to be a week where we need to take deep breaths. It's interesting to see how people are finally realizing that election got stolen. That's kind of funny. I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. It's been a lot. But more information is going to be coming out. I told you Trump was not going to have a great birthday. It was not a great birthday. We could all laugh a little bit over that. And his health does not look like it's doing well. Of course, they're not going to announce it, but keep watching him. He ain't looking good. There's a lot of speculation. I don't like to speculate too much. I just look at him. I'm like, yep, he's old. He doesn't feel good. So there's that. One of the things I talked about last week was keeping these summer episodes a little bit shorter because, you know, everybody's out and about and doing their things. One of the things I want to bring up is got a brand new program, the summer program. It is the summer camp for mindful adults, people who want to start a side gig, build an aligned career for themselves or a soul-centered career for themselves, people who are wanting to get professional development if they're readers, counselors, psychologists, astrologers, anybody who deals with people, getting client management tools and skills, how to start and end a session, how to charge your value. This thing in the big package, the big bundle, you get the whole enchilada. It's super fun. You get healing the money wound, how to find your side gig using astrology, which even though we're talking about side gigs, it's still a way to open up revenue streams if you already have a business. You also get authentic content creation, and this is going to be how to make content that people are interested in online. Because one of the mistakes most people make when they're making content, they might be really educated, they might be really skilled, they might really know what they're talking about, and they don't know how to get people's attention. They're like, well, I don't want to do trends, because you think you're going to lose your street cred, and you don't. Okay, you don't. And so a lot of times people don't have the skill set to make the content other than thinking of being a presenter. Okay. And so in that workshop, I'm going to work with you guys on how to be more authentic on camera. And you'd be like, well, I'm authentically boring, Laurie. Why would you want to change that? Then I wouldn't be authentic anymore. I'd be like, no, there's performance skills and you still manage to have your message be aligned. Other things that happen in this summer camp, because it's the 3 weeks in July, from the second week on through the end of July, we are doing Healing the Money Wound, Find Your Psychic, Authentic Content Creation, Professional Development courses. That's at 8 hours. Oh, and Marketing Magic, how using your natural abilities. You're going to need your astrology chart. You need to have your time. If you don't have a time of birth, you're not going to get as much out of this class. You can check it out on wokeastrology.com. I already sent out the discount code to patrons at $22 and above. That's the mystery school and up. I should have already gotten it out before I dropped this podcast, but if I didn't, hold tight. At the $5 and $15 level, you guys will be getting your code as well. There's a couple of options. If you don't want to be a patron, you can save 20% using the link in the bio. Some of these are a la carte. You can just book sessions, the ones that feel most relevant to you, but the best savings is going to come through the single payment bundle. There is also a monthly payment. You get 12 months access to the material. I'm just teaching live in July. So there you go. That way we get it. Will there be a self-paced option? Eventually. So hold tight. All right. What else are we going to talk about on the podcast today? I'm going to go through what's in the headlines. Okay. I'm going to go through what's in the headlines. Of course, we're going to thank our patrons, because without patrons, there is no podcast. They help keep it ad-free. And you can subscribe to it on the Patreon. And you can find that link below. Right now, you can still save 40% on annual subscriptions. You don't want to miss that. Been doing deep dives with the magazine tier. That's the horoscopes and the predictions tier. I put the recording out to everybody, and it was kind of an accident. I actually spent many hours editing clips to put out to the other tiers. And I hit the wrong button. So everybody got it. I don't believe there's an accident. I think the universe was like, I didn't want to put it out because I cried. I was like, oh shit. Why? But y'all get to hear my Cancerian self be mushy and tender in that. So those of you who know me know. But anyway, it was super funny. Well, it wasn't funny. It was sad, and also relief. So some things I think that are going to come up this week, I think we're going to have more really big storms. Mars exiting Leo is going to do it with a bang. It's doing it tonight, June 16th, with the moon in opposition. So it's a big bada boom. It could be a power outage, satellite failure. And I think we will see definitely more bombing in the Middle East. And the rhetoric's going to continue to be interesting. So there's that. It's not a great day for Trump. Monday night is not a great night for Trump. We may not hear about it, but his health is going to continue to deteriorate. It's absolutely going to deteriorate. I want to encourage you all to continue getting a hold of your senators to make sure that they don't pass that big, beautiful bill, because it's big, all right, but it's bloated and it's it's boorish. So it's unrefined and it ain't pretty. So there's that. Alrighty. I keep knocking my table and then you'll see my camera shake. But that's okay. All right. So let's do some patron shout outs. Then I'll do what's in the headlines. And then we'll talk about the summer solstice, because we've got our solstice party coming up. And that is an all patron event. And we'll talk about what you can do to make it a really fun adventure. If you can't come, that's fine. It's going to be recorded. And when I say all patron event, I mean free as well as paid. So stay tuned for that link up in the Patreon. But I'll give some hints and tips for everybody listening. I know not everybody can be a patron, and that's fine. I think a lot of people don't understand what Patreon is either. So I'm going to talk about that coming up next, just so you know what it is. Okay. All right. All right. Let's do patron shout outs. All right. Without patrons, there's no podcast. So let's talk about what patrons are. Patrons, traditionally, if you go back to like the Renaissance, artists had a patron, right? There were people who loved their work and supported their work in the world. And in exchange, they would get artwork or music or commissions. And you guys who are patrons sponsor the podcast and what I do on TikTok. And I want to thank you all for that. And yes, I am back on TikTok, because in order for my message to get out there, we do have to market it. And I've actually been pleasantly surprised by the reception on TikTok, but I think enough time has gone by that people realize that, that was shenanigans. But you've not been hated on by the internet until there is an actual search that says astrologer Laurie lied. Yeah. People said, she lied. We're far enough into the podcast to anybody watching this who said I lied. Sit on it. Spin on it. I didn't lie. I always said it was murky. She had the better transits. I was worried about her physicality. All I saw for him was making money. What do you think he's doing? You think he's leading things? No, they can't even give him a good parade. Also, to those who sent me nasty messages, please apologize so I know who to block if I haven't already blocked you. But anyway, that would not be any of my patrons. My patrons have stuck with me through thick and thin. But if you are somebody who is a patron and you said mean things, please apologize in the comments so I can take care of that. Alrighty. No, I'm not a very forgiving person, because I come to you and I give you information in good faith. So some people would say, don't talk about it like that way, Laurie. Be the bigger person. I don't go high when people go low. I don't think we have to be spiritual people. I think holding people accountable for saying horrendous things is a boundary that would be good to exemplify, especially as a woman. But anyway, I digress. People are like, she's so resentful and bitter. Yep. Takes one to know one. Alrighty. Patron shout outs. Ann, Julie, Rohani, Lauren, C, Kelly, Lindsay, Jess, Quinn, Bailey, John, Carolina, Jackie, Eli, Katie, Amanda, Janelle, Gabby, Christy, Wendy, Rose, Chelsea, Sonia, Leslie, Jeannie, Wearily Witchy, Mooncake, Chris, Julia, Angelica. Who am I to judge? Valerie, Kath, Sandria, Judy, Deb, Amanda, Ariel, Kari, Amanda, Amy, Jessica, Sonia, Jewel Sphere, Latent Dream, Kristen, Adrian, Rodriguez, Eric, McKaylee, Big Red 44, Ella, Ann, Edie, Hope, Serena, Mary Beth, Swamp Goblin, Marcy, Emily, Amber, John, Jackie, Kate, the Tofu Seller, Amy Pons, Ashley, Jordan, Talon, Jessica, Cassidy, Danielle, Denise, Janice, Manda Panda, Dara, Spooky Latte, J Leaf 1609, Kalia, Cassidy, Beam, Bits, Head in the Air, Cassandra, Laura B, Amy, Allie, Tamika, Katie, Laura, Megan, Teresa, Robin, Stephanie, The Heathen Equestrian, M. Knight, Courtney, M. Hawk, Kim, Fate, Gillian, Katrina, Robin, Hannah, Danny, Brandy, Dallas, Lou, Imelda, Vermicelli, Magnifico, Cassandra, Sasha, Lilith, Jackie, Rebecca, Vina, and Riley. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. And if you are wanting to join as a new member, you save 40% on an annual subscription. I would love to be able to offer that to patrons who are already with us. Patreon has not set it up that way, so I can't do it. But if you're wanting to join and you were waiting for a sale, now is the time. Check it out on the Patreon. All right, coming up next, what's in the headlines? And then we're going to talk about the summer solstice, what it means for you, and what you can do to make the most out of that energy. All right, we're doing what's in the headlines. What can we expect in the headlines? This portion is sponsored by the magazine subscribers. You can find that in the deep dive and horoscope tier in the Patreon. It's going to be a little nuts. We have interesting events happening on the moon starts out in Aquarius and then it moves into Pisces. So if you listened to last week, I ended with this page with the moon in Aquarius and is bringing its teaser and it knows how to use it. I think we could see some electrical issues as we move through the 16th before that moon moves into Pisces in the afternoon. And I'm talking West Coast time. Even though I've moved off the coast, I still use Pacific time and not Eastern, because I grew up on the West Coast and I was always tired of having to do the time zone conversion. And so it's the East Coast's turn to do time zone conversion. So I do use Pacific time. I think we're going to see some massive storms, big electrical storms, tornadoes, hail, etc. in the first part of the day. We could definitely see something happen with U.S. military bases globally. There could be a loss. There could be an attack. This could come from Iran. It could be a stray missile from Israel. Israel's trying to get the United States to participate in this, and there might be something happen that forces the United States' hand. Don't believe everything you hear on the news. We could see an explosion in DC with this. Yesterday it went okay, but of course they had a lot of security. We could see missile launches, more bombs and attacks. We could see we did see public violence and protesters attacked, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Monday is probably also a day we may see a big earthquake. This could most likely be in Asia, but it could also happen in South America off the coast of that west coast on the Ring of Fire. So keep your eyes out with that. All right. With the moon moving into Pisces in the afternoon of the 16th, we could see record-breaking waves in areas that have surfing, okay? Because the moon in Pisces has everyone talking and no one is listening. It's like splashing in a pool. We can see in the headlines, information to do with pharmacies, drugs, and medicine. That would not discount Medicare. Communications disruptions, Navy clashes, issues with submarines, loss of a ship or a sub, or accident with Navy. We could see toxic waste, radiation, and nuclear power discussed in the headlines. A potential terrorist attack, vehicular violence, or the use of drones. This could be anywhere in the world. Increase in the use of bombs, missiles, and expansion of war in any current conflict. Things are not going to calm down between Israel and Iran. We could see big weather in the southeast United States, especially in the Gulf Coast. 617 could see a very, very big earthquake or big storm with large waves, high winds, and big storm surges. It could also be a big solar storm. Issues with religion versus state. We could see a strain between leaders or accusations made against a religious leader or made against a politician about separation of church and state. I think JD Vance and Donald Trump both will be under pressure in different ways. And I think also Elon Musk and Peter Thiel will be up on deck in the news as well in some way, shape, or form. Breakthroughs in treatments. We could see also a mass casualty event. This could be a stabbing, a shooting, a bombing, a terrorist attack. Could that happen in U.S. soil? I keep getting asked about that. And the answer is yes. And no, I do not have an idea of when or how that could happen, but in this 2-day time period. So if you're going to be in a crowded area, a landmark area, and no, not Yellowstone National Park, not Yosemite, it's not going to be one of those places. It's going to be something like DC. So keep your eyes out for that. It could also be something like New York, Houston, LA may have some stuff go on. Speaking of, we're going to see that a judge does not necessarily take his side. That Ninth Circuit Court may rule against him. We can see issues with oil spills, oil platforms, or issues with natural gas or other kinds of petrochemicals, including gas stations, depots, and refineries. We could see an oil tanker or a big Navy ship has an accident, or a truck carrying volatile load has an accident. Now, I'm not reading everything off these pages. You can find these in the mini mag post because the quarterly magazine will come out soon. If you're a subscriber, you'll get that. June 18th through the 1st with the moon in Aries. It's just so spicy, so hot, so fire. We will see big fires. This could be arson or from acts of war or sabotage. This is global. Air inversions, extreme heat indexes, and big storm fronts. Again, global. Okay. And the southern hemisphere, you could see fires started because of faulty wiring and cold temperatures. We could see terrorist attack that impacts a nation, like a big one. Okay, so this could be a historic event. This could happen anywhere in the world. Elon Musk in crisis, health, or faces a legal challenge. Trump faces a challenge to authority or a health crisis. Iran, Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Turkey, increase in attacks or tensions. Volcanic eruption or firestorm. Issues with lava flow or lahars. We could see mass violence in a public venue. We could see issues with road rage or big accidents on major freeways or international borders. Poland, Balkans, Moldova dealing with, and this could be anywhere like Belarus, Macedonia, Serbia, Croatia, anywhere in that region. I know you're all different countries, but Eastern Europe. Okay. And that includes Ukraine. We could see issues with border security and potential sabotage or terrorist attacks. We could see a forest fire or fire on public lands internationally. International organizations under strain or face crisis, UN, NATO, etc. Issues in the Red Sea, Persian Gulf, Indian Ocean, Straits of Taiwan, or South Pacific, piracy, war games, or big weather. We could see death of a prominent celebrity, politician, or person of note. Increase in geothermal activity, that's like geysers. Leaders of all forms face opposition. Potential assassination or deposing of leaders. CEO or world leader faces health crisis. This could come from arterial strokes or head injuries. Again, I haven't read absolutely everything on that page. You can find it in the mini mag, in the Patron. We wind up the week with the moon in Taurus. And that is June 21st through the 23rd. So the 20th is the solstice, and I'll talk about that in the next segment on how you can use that energy. But the 21st is the 2026 year ahead, and I'd invite you to join me, but it appears we're sold out. So thanks to patrons. The moon in Taurus is charging at full speed. So imagine a really angry bull. Its head is down. We could see escalation in Ukraine or Russia, big explosions or mass casualty event, explosion at port, food processing plant, or major accident with toxic waste. That could be a train or a truck. Issues with crops, supply chains, wheat, grains of all kinds. Now, issues could be good issues. It doesn't all have to be bad. We might hear about a grain shortage, a pasta shortage, but we might also hear about how people are creating solutions around food. Computer systems crash, or there could be a very big crisis in tech. A world leader or person of note has an accident or a health crisis. Mutiny, rebellion, coups, or political upheaval, violence. We could hear about that in all different places. Livestock or livestock regulation, farming and supply chains are up in the news. Again, it's not all going to be bad. We could see a big accident or explosion or fire or more than one incident worldwide. That is more likely towards the late 22nd into the 23rd. We could see big erosion events, landslides, mudslides, sinkholes, levee breaches, dike failures, and dam breaches. Power outages, network outages could be a system failure or issues with solar flares or geomagnetic storms. We could see a maritime incident or accident or issues with naval bases. Keep your eye on the Middle East, the Persian Gulf, and Asia. Big market dip or issue in the housing market. Could see crypto dip as well. Huge weather issues, lightning, hail, hurricanes, tornadoes, sandstorms, and torrential rain or flooding. Issues with payment gateways and currencies. I just said crypto. So retail giant under pressure or strain. Authority figures and leaders challenged. I have a lot of leadership being challenged over the next week. So it'll be very interesting to see where and how that happens. Don't get your hopes up. It could be Trump, but it could be other people. Public health, insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, hospital systems, it's global. Keep your eye. If you want to stay abreast of viruses, etc., you're going to have to look for overseas information. Public outcry over policies and government rules. Shortage of cleaning products and cleaning supplies makes the news. Maybe like people are not able to find vinegar or something. I don't know. So that is our week this week. There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening this week. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all going to happen to you or it's going to happen in your area. It just means it's going to, these things are up on deck. What kind of good news can there be? In fact, when I'm working on my 2026 year ahead slides, and I'm trying to look for some rays of sunshine and things to look forward to as much as the things I'm trying to give a heads up about. But when I say issues, I just mean it's serious enough or it's interesting enough that it's newsworthy and it's in the headlines. So it can be good things. It doesn't have to be, everybody goes, oh, it's bad. It's not always bad. Sometimes it's good. And sometimes a crisis is what we need to move us forward. We will probably see more political violence in the United States. Okay. That's the trajectory we're on. Where the hope is and where the inspiration is it's coming from the people themselves. 11 million people showed up to protest. 11 million people. Okay. That is freaking outstanding. That's amazeballs. On one of the biggest protests in U.S. history. And it was peaceful other than with rare incidents. And that's probably provocateurs, you know. And of course, we had some unfortunate violence towards protesters. That happens. It's going to happen. You know, always use caution when you're walking into large public spaces, especially this summer. You don't have to stay home. You don't need to be paralyzed with fear. It's about using common sense, staying aware, and being as prepared as you can be. You know, we're not always going to be prepared for everything, but this should help. All right. So again, I'll do a deep dive this week. I do a deep dive every week. About what's on the way. And then I do the patron only podcast too. So if you're a patron, you know, stay tuned. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about what I see coming up and how you can move through it. Next week, we're going to be talking about that new moon in Cancer because it's kind of the bright, shiny light. It's very magical. It is kind of the opposite of everything we've been going through. That new moon is conjunct Jupiter, and it helps us start off 2026 in a really strong way if we do things intentionally. So I'll talk about that on next week's podcast. Right now, we're going to move along and talk about the solstice. Let's talk about something pleasant for a change. Let's talk about the summer solstice. And that is the longest day of the year, the shortest night. Now, we do start losing daylight after the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. By the way, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it is the longest night and the shortest day because you're having the winter solstice. And I try not to be hemisphericist, because we have listeners from all over the world. So regardless of the solstice that you're experiencing, this is always an important day of the year for us as human beings. We've been paying attention to this as a marker of time, as a change in energy. And it is just a very good time to be mindful about how we want to take the next steps. Okay. So we look at our year as a 365-day, 12-month year. It's arbitrary. That's just how we've decided to divide it up. Sometimes people have 13 months and a lunar calendar. Neither one is wrong. Neither one is right. There's a lot of arguments online and conspiracy theories, and it's not. Time is arbitrary. Time is what we decide it is. Time can take many different shapes. There's psychological time, you know, so if you're really bored, 15 minutes can be like an hour. But have you ever had one of those days that's just so busy and you start at 5 a.m. and you're running till 11 p.m. and you're like, where'd the day go? I just started, right? That's psychological time. There's geological time, and that takes for freaking ever. So time itself is kind of arbitrary, all right? The time we're talking about, for the purpose of this conversation, don't argue with me, please, I have no patience left, is 12 months, all right? So every 6 months, we have a solstice. So looking at the solstice, our solstice happens on June 20th this year. Sometimes it's on the 20th, sometimes it's on the 21st. And on the 20th, by the way, patrons are going to meet up, both free and paid, and we're going to do one of my favorite activities, and that's make a vision board. Okay. I know people like to do it digitally because they like it to look perfect, but frankly, I think that defeats the purpose. I love tech. I love digital creation, but I'm going to tell you, it's better for your neurology, better for your brain to do it physically. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, you need to let that shit go. Perfect is silly. No one's going to be, I'm a perfectionist. No, you're self-sabotaging because you're never going to meet your standards. Okay. Let it go. Just Slap some shit on a piece of paper that is meaningful to you. My God, I'm querulous today. I'll go through this in more depth with patrons. But yeah, we'll take a look. This is a really powerful moment in time as we go to this. I'm on weeks. If you've ever had a reading with me, you know that, oops, I'm on weeks. I got to change it to days. But yeah, so in fact, so around 8:17 p.m. Pacific, that's 11:17, and it's actually a little bit before that, but the sun will ingress into Cancer, and that's the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. It's the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. It's right next to Jupiter in Cancer, and it is making a square with Saturn and Neptune. So, in fact, Jupiter is in a strong square with Neptune. So, what can you do about this? That sounds kind of scary, doesn't it? Doesn't it? But the really cool thing is the moon will be in Taurus just at the 0 degree mark, and it's making a sextile. It's making a sextile to the sun and Jupiter. This energy is like the best, and I mean the best, for letting go of the blocks in your way of creating a more abundant and satisfying lifestyle. But you got to be a chaos goblin for this. You got to be a flying sea monkey. You got to be somebody who can let go of how the world is supposed to be and looking for my dream job. And if I go to this school and I take this job, then I will have success. Let that shit go, because that ain't going to work. You've got to be like, I've got these skills, this talent, this ability. And instead of going like, well, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be like those guys. Nobody's going to want what I have to say. Stop being a Debbie Downer, for fuck's sake. Or, and honestly, that's ego. It's ego. I can feel Cancer season coming, and I'm a Cancerian, and I'm going to mama the fuck out of you. And mom's going to go, oh, have some cocoa, and let's talk about our feelings while you're wasting your life. Mom say you deserve better. And I can see the talent in you, and I want you to achieve what you can. Doesn't mean you don't have to be a billionaire. You don't have to be an asshole, unless that's what you want to be, and then do it really well. Welcome to my pep talks with my children. So this is about breaking through. It's about breaking through your social cultural programming. This is about really looking at what really makes you feel secure, not just what you think you can get, not what you think other people want out of you, and busting through not just societal and cultural limitations, but the damn things you've imposed on yourself. Okay, we all do it. I did it. Okay, I was just talking with my son, and I was like, dude, I disenfranchised myself a lot. I disenfranchised myself when I was young, and that was stupid. And I taught you some things that were my values back then that aren't helpful. I was wrong. Because I was a stick it to the man kind of guy. I didn't like the banks. I didn't like credit card company. I still don't. I didn't like the way this world worked, and I wasn't going to contribute to it. I was well in my ego, virtue signaling all over the place. This is when my kids were little. So it's a long time ago. It's more than 20 years ago. Obviously, I taught them well. So I have to go there and be like, whoa, okay, let's rewind. That was dumb, and I was young, and I thought I was doing a thing, and it was stupid. You need to break through the barriers you've created for yourself. And maybe you're older. See, we're really good at doing this. We're really good at creating barriers for ourselves. Okay. And we can get mad at the Trumpty Dumpty all we want, but there's some things he does right. And I'm not talking politically. I'm not talking about business, but for himself. He does, right. If you want to manifest stuff, you need to have an unwavering belief in yourself. We all think he sounds like an egotistical jerk. I'm the best. I'm the brightest. This is the bigliest. This is the greatest. This is the most wonderful. I'm the most wonderful, blah, blah, blah. That's a mental focus. Okay. And we disagree with him about himself, right? But it's something he does very, very well. And people go, why does he get away with everything? That's why. That's why. His mindset. That's why. Notice he'll be like, I don't care what they have to say. I'm doing this. Okay. Now, you don't have to be like him to use that same technique to your advantage. You can say, I am beloved. I am loved by the universe. The universe thinks I am amazing. I have amazing skills I'm really, really good at, and then say things that you know are true. So I have a beautiful voice. I know it's well trained. I know how to use my voice. I know people love my voice. People like to feel soothed by me, and my voice is energy expressed of me, and people feel comfortable and safe around me. That's something I can say with 100% surety. Okay. Enough people tune in to go to sleep every week. And that's fine. That's fine. I feel honored that you feel soothed, right? I can say those things. I know I'm spooky accurate. People can kiss my accuracy. Just wait, it's coming, and I'll bring it back. I'm a very good astrologer. I'm one of the best in the world. And that's not ego. I just know how good I am. Okay. I help a lot of people. I'm a really good business advisor and strategist or coach. And I've helped a lot of people do better than they expected. I've helped a lot of moms buy shoes for their kids when they were struggling. I've helped a lot of people find the confidence to step out and do things outside of their comfort zone. Those are all things I can say. Okay. So let's work on you. This is something we're going to do in our summer solstice party. So free or paid. So if you want to join us on Friday, I want to give people kind of a shot to be home for it. Again, we'll record it. But some of the stuff that I think you might enjoy doing is really taking a look at your real strengths. Cancer is about start to finish energy. All right. We think of it as motherhood, but what happens in motherhood? Egg allows sperm to fertilize it. And that's a scientific fact. The sperm does not break through the barriers. The egg decides who gets to fertilize. And then it incubates for some time, and the fetus becomes more and more human appearing until it is birthed and takes its first breath when it has viability. Okay. And then doesn't mean it doesn't get help in an incubator or something, but breathing makes you viable. Okay. If you can't breathe, you're not viable. So it's project management. And then you have to keep that little sucker alive until they're grown, and sometimes well after. And that's project management. From idea, conception to completion is Cancer energy. So the solstice always marks the beginning of Cancer season. We are now stepping into project management, getting all these things started and raised and nurtured up. In order to do that, you need to be able to let go of self-imposed restrictions. Okay. It's kind of like wanting to get pregnant while taking birth control. It doesn't, some people get lucky with that, but most people don't. All right. So it's important, if you have a project you want to start, if you want to level up in life. Okay. Just because the world looks like it's falling apart doesn't mean you can't create stability for yourself. All right. It's just, if you lean into how the old stuff gets done, my dream job, the dream school, the blah, 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 that's attachment. What does comfortable look like for you? What skills do you have that can move you forward? And I would look at a bunch of scenarios. Like, I know if the power goes out, the internet goes out, I'm a hell of a good cook. I will always find some kind of work. Or at the very least, I'm good at gardening. I could stay with my mom and dad forever. Everything's taken care of. And I'm willing to do what I need to do physically, whether it's make things. I'm a good hand spinner. I can make yarn for people. I have a lot of fiber. I have crafting supplies. I can do a lot of things. I know what my skills are. And I do think about those things. Like, what if this happened? How would I function? What if this happened? What would I do? I don't do it as in like, oh no, what would happen? I'm like, I play a little like, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? What would I do if I was really successful at this thing? And what would I do if I was here? And well, what if the bottom fell out? What would I do then? Because then I'm always ready to take action. You know, it's a good pretend game, right? But you got to know yourself. You got to know your skills. Now, if you're just getting started in life, if you're a teenager, if you're in your early 20s, you are still good at things. Like I could crochet at 18, right? I learned as a little kid. I was already really good at cooking, you know? So like in college, I had a deal. I was like Snow White with the 7 dwarfs, only I had like 500 of them. But if people bought food, if they bought the groceries, I'd cook because I didn't have a lot of money. So I'd be like, you like my cooking? Well, if you buy the groceries, I'll cook. I ate very, very well. And I didn't have 2 qualms about it, you know? Like, oh, are we going to have dessert? Are we? Well, I guess I will get on that. Get me the good chocolate. Or it doesn't happen. Having confidence in your skills and not going, oh, well, I can only use a nose whistle and I'm not going to be very good with a nose whistle or a nose flute. I mean, nobody cares. Yes, they do. There are people who care. There are people who do shadow puppets, right? And entertain people. There's people who are good at doing face painting. There's people who are good at underwater basket weaving. There are people who are good at planting potatoes. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you recognize your skills, talents, and abilities. That's what I'm trying to tell you with this energy. You want to lean into that. The next thing you want to do is really dig in deep to what skills you want to cultivate. So like, I'm good at this, and I'd like to be good at this thing. Okay. I know I'm good at learning. I need a minute for it to stick. It takes a little bit of repetition and I want to learn these things. I want to get started with my own business. Not sure where to start first. Okay. That's one thing. But what if you write it a different way? I'm not sure where to start first, so I'm going to pick a direction and start there. Okay. Just even saying that to your brain, I'm going to pick something. You might see an article. There might be something show up on TikTok, or you might see the announcement for my summer workshops. And you might not be able to take all of them, but you might find one that works for you. Okay. All right. It's okay to lean in to who you are at a core level and build from there. Okay. You need to tend yourself. You cannot keep looking out at everybody else. Like if other people are who you're looking to validate you, to agree with you, to shine a light on you, you're going to be miserable. You need to validate yourself. You need to tend yourself. You need to tend your vision. If you can't do you authentically and you are constantly seeking external validation, you cannot be in community with other people because you're always going to be in drama. Period. Okay. There is so much good stuff coming with this new moon, and it helps start you off on the right foot in 2026. So I'm going to just take a look at my computer here. Oops. Because, you're going to have Mars sextile Jupiter here. That's huge. The detailed planning that you do now through creative means, you've got to be like super, super connected to yourself. Okay. The Mars and the moon will be in a trine. This is perfect future planning. So the full moon culminates on January 3rd, 2026. So everything you're setting into motion now starts gearing up. Now, what's interesting, we'll have Mars in Capricorn in opposition to Jupiter in Cancer, which is at 21 degrees. So the moon at 12 degrees isn't connected to Jupiter yet, but the moon is in opposition to Venus conjunct the sun, conjunct Mars. This is a powerful way to start off the year. A very powerful way. It's so, so, so important for you. Now, this will be at the early hours of the morning on January 3rd. Yeah, there's big world events. I'm not going to lie. There's some interesting things going on there. But for you personally, this is realizing an important vision. And I'm not talking about you winning a major award or getting the Nobel Peace Prize or getting a record label deal or having a viral TikTok video or whatever you think is more important than being just emotionally stable, emotionally comfortable, reasonably satisfied, feeling secure inside of yourself, feeling the sense of satisfaction of having enough. You feel good. You have the relationships you want to have with people. You're not missing out on much, and you feel just enough discomfort to strive for something else. So you don't get bored with life. There's nothing wrong with that. This is really, really powerful energy, and you're going to see the result in January of 2026 by being super deliberate, super on purpose, super intentional with this Cancer new moon. It's very powerful. And like I've been saying, you can't be in community. You can't be like, well, I don't want to get more than my fair share because then I won't be able, so-and-so won't be able to have some. No, that's not true. There's enough for everybody. And maybe you're how that person gets access to something. Maybe you're entrepreneurial and you have a friend who's really talented, but they're not entrepreneurial, and you give them an opportunity to shine and showcase their talents. There are so many ways. Maybe you're the person who gets to shine and you make an alliance with somebody who is more entrepreneurial, but maybe they need a grounding or anchor buddy, somebody who can keep their feet on the floor. There's enough for everybody. Don't you let guilt get in your way. That's ego. Don't let perfectionism get in your way. That's ego. Don't let needing virtue and be virtuous and seen as virtuous. That's ego. One of the greatest shadows you can ever have is the need to be seen as virtuous. Okay. Oh, I don't do that. I'm not like those bad people. Ego. We all do it. But if you want to get the most out of this energy, I want you to write stuff down super ballsy. And if you want help with it, make sure you join the Patreon and show up and see me on Friday night this week. Friday, June 20th, 7 p.m. Pacific. You know what? It's a solstice. It's staying light out. And then on Saturday is the 2026 year ahead. And that's happening around, I think, about noon 30, 11:30 Pacific, because I think it's noon 30 my time and I'm in Mountain. But, and I'd love to invite you, but there's no more room for this version. I'll have to we sold out. So I'm going to have to do a webinar version of it in November, December at the end of this year to do the follow-up, my 20-year aheads. I do just kind of without context. I'm just looking at the astrology and I give my best analysis. And then we just kind of touch it up a little bit as we get closer to the beginning of the new year. I do this just to show my accuracy. So I look forward to seeing those of you who registered. How exciting. And no, it is not a patron perk until I put out the recording of the previous year mid-year. Usually sometime around April or May, because it's been hot and up around then. Sometimes I put it out in June as perk of being a patron. Depends on the year. So I'll let you know about 2026 later on. I hope to see you there. I want to thank you all for listening. And if you're listening on YouTube, be sure to put a comment in to thank a patron. If you're on Spotify, same thing. Thank the patrons, because without the patrons, this show doesn't exist. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments as well. I'm Laurie Rivers. I want to thank you for being part of our listening audience. If you're a patron, thank you for helping me in my calling and putting my work out in the world. I appreciate all of you very, very much. If you're a patron, stay tuned for the patron only podcast, where I'm going to go through everything we kind of talked about today, but in a lot more depth, and giving you some journaling prompts to get ready for that solstice party.